Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the House Committee on Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs. Today is Wednesday, February 28th at 2 p.m. here in Conference Room 325 at the State Capitol. We're here for purposes of hearing testimony on a number of bills and decision-making on a couple of them that we had heard in a previous hearing. For those who are testifying today, I would request you keep your testimony to about 2 minutes. At that point, I'll ask you to summarize. And if you're testifying via Zoom, please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting to testify. And then after your testimony is complete, mute yourself and turn your video off. If you have a technical issue on Zoom, please use the chat function to communicate with technical staff. If you're disconnected, don't panic. Rejoin us as soon as you can, and I'll try to fit you in to provide your testimony at that time. If the power goes off in the building here, we have a network failure and we have to reschedule, well, I'll make sure to post appropriate notice so everyone knows. If you're testifying via Zoom, please avoid any trademarked or copyrighted images. That kicks us off of YouTube, and that's a problem. And please, everyone here and on Zoom, conduct yourself with aloha. Please refrain from any profanity or uncivil behavior. It's okay to disagree, but let's not be disagreeable. I want to say hello to former Representative McDermott. Thank you for joining us today, sir. And let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have House Bill 2079, HD2, relating to health. This bill relaxes the requirement for prescribing certain controlled substances as part of gender-affirming healthcare services, expands the protections established to include gender-affirming healthcare services, and clarifies jurisdiction under the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act for cases involving children who obtain gender-affirming healthcare services. First up, we have testimony from Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Rochelle Araki, Executive Officer for the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. The department stands on its written testimony providing support. Thank you.
If I may ask, I usually do this with everyone, rather than just standing on your testimony, because a bunch of people in the TV world out there haven't read your testimony. So could you just summarize the highlights?
Sure. So the department stands on its written testimony providing support in sections. Sections 4 and 5 of this bill, as it amends Hawaii Revised Statutes 451J, and Sections 8 and 9 of this bill, as it amends Hawaii Revised Statutes 453D. The amendment to our statute, provides decide clarifications for disciplinary actions against licensees who have been disciplined for a crime related to providing or receiving gender-affirming healthcare services, so long as the provision or receipt of the services was in accordance with the state of the law. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have testimony from the Hawaii State Department of Health. In support. Next, we have testimony from the Hawaii Medical Board. Support. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas and Vice Chair Takayama. My name is Randy Ho. I'm an Executive Officer of the Hawaii Medical Board. The board supports sections 6 and 7 and takes no position on other sections of this measure. If you would like me to explain more, I can.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just summarize it. It'd be great.
The board supports the amendments made to HRS sections 453-8 and 453-8.6 as outlined in sections 6 and 7 of the bill, which provide clear exceptions for disciplinary action against licensed physicians or physician assistants who are disciplined or convicted in another state based on the provision or assistance in receipt or provision of medical, surgical, pharmaceutical, counseling, or referral services relating to gender-affirming healthcare services, so long as the provision or assistance in receipt or provision of such services are in accordance with the laws of this state or would have been in accordance with the laws of this state if it had occurred within this state. And most importantly, this bill would continue to protect bodily autonomy and access to gender-affirming care. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on this bill.
Sure. Thanks very much. Next, we have testimony and support from the Board of Nursing. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Chelsea Fukunaga, Executive Officer of the Board of Nursing. The board will stand on its written testimony in support of Sections 10 and 11 and not taking any position on any other sections of this measure. The bill will allow protection of an individual's right to privacy and personal autonomy over their body within state boundaries by allowing LPNs, RNs, and APRNs to continue to provide or assist in the receipt or provision of gender-affirming healthcare services without adverse repercussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony from HMSA. Welcome. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Takayama. Since I can't stand on my written testimony, I'm Don Karisu. On behalf of HMSA, we provided testimony with comments, and just want to say that we definitely support gender-affirming care and access to care in Hawaii. And we just want to note that we're unsure whether the prescribing of the controlled substances without an in-person visit via telehealth is in accordance with current telehealth guidelines and regulations. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Next, we have testimony from the Hawaii Federation of Republican Women, Ms. Detweiler. Welcome. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Takayama. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. The Federation stands in strong opposition to HB 2079 HD2 for the following reasons. Number one, the rights of citizens under the U.S. and the Hawaii State Constitution are being violated. Under Article 1, Section 8 of the Hawaii State Constitution, no citizen shall be disenfranchised or deprived of any rights or privileges secured to other citizens. In 1997, the court declared in a case Washington versus Glucksberg that due process clause under the 14th Amendment protects the fundamental rights of parents. Number two, this is harmful legislation. As you've heard from previous testifiers as well as written testimony, there are certain portions of the bill that they stand in support of, and then the other portions they offer comments, which, I've read through the submitted testimonies. And I'm glad HMSA went right before me because I wanted to highlight what they just said. The prescribing of Schedule 3 and 4 drugs, right, and to have a telehealth appointment without an in-person appointment. I retired from 33 years in healthcare administration. This is very concerning to me as far as protecting the health of children and the rights of parents. Protection of our children and parent-guardian rights. There are adverse effects to everything that we take. I'm going to give you an example of one of the drugs that are used in gender-affirming care. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not an expert, but I have worked with adults who have been in the process of transitioning. One of the drugs is called Lupron. This is a very strong drug. It's used for chemical castration. So we're using this in children right now. And Schedule 3 and 4 drugs include antidepressants and anti-anxiety. So you have to ask yourself the question, why is there a need for Schedule 3 and 4 drugs? There's a need because there's anxiety and depression that can go along with this treatment. So, in conclusion, if children are harmed by Schedule 3 and 4 controlled substances, are you willing to take responsibility for passing this bill into law? Please vote no on this bill. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony in support from the Democratic Party of Hawaii. Ms. Simmons, please proceed.
Mahalo, and aloha, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Takayama, and esteemed members of this committee. My name is Abby Simmons, and I'm the co-chair of the Legislative Committee of the Democratic Party of Hawaii, and I'm testifying on behalf of the party in strong support of HB 2079. Protecting the civil and human rights of our LGBTQ+ community is one of our party's top legislative priorities this session. Just today, the American Psychological Association announced an historic policy resolution that it opposes gender-affirming care bans for transgender youth. The association, the largest psychological organization in the world, declared government bans on gender-affirming care disregard the comprehensive body of psychological and medical research supporting the positive impact of gender-affirming treatments. In addition, every major medical association and leading world health authority already supports transgender healthcare as safe and life-saving. The science and facts are just on the side of this bill. Sadly, gender-affirming care, as well as reproductive rights, are under assault across dozens of states on the continent. Last session, we passed SB 1 to protect reproductive rights. This bill is similar in spirit and will provide significant legal and civil protections that will shield healthcare providers and their patients from frivolous overreach by hostile, out-of-state agencies. Overreach that equals persecution by prosecution. Let's make no mistake, the threat is real, as has been demonstrated by recent news of the Texas AG's subpoenas of healthcare providers in Seattle and Georgia. Subpoenas that intend to criminally charge providers and patients. This sounds very familiar to the ongoing attacks on reproductive rights. We believe in protecting Hawaii families from having their children removed by out-of-state agencies when parents are providing access to gender-affirming care for their child. And we believe in basic human rights and in upholding the dignity of the members of our LGBTQ+ community. As such, we strongly urge you to support HB 2079 and ask you to consider the amendments outlined in our written testimony. And in closing, as a transgender woman myself, I also wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and thank Chair Tarnas and members of this committee for their support and for protecting LGBTQ people and our rights from far-right extremist politicians. Mahalo nui loa for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Cynthia Bartlett. Welcome, please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Bartlett. I represent the Moms for Liberty in Hawaii. Our chapter's in Honolulu. It was interesting listening to her because they try and make this a civil rights idea when if you allow children, push them and influence them towards trans, what you're doing is bullying and harming the gays. There's not going to be a naturally gay boy or girl if they're pushed into hormone medicines and into therapies which have no treatment. Gender-affirming medicine has no recognition of comorbidities right now. Like when we went through the cutting episodes and other things with children, they always did psychology, talk therapy, and comorbidity. And now with this, what they're saying is that parents aren't good parents if they don't 100% go along with this medical affirming right. Sorry, I have a throat problem today, so. But yeah, the real people who are being bullied are the ones that are against the gender affirmation medicine without treatment of comorbidities. We're not allowed to talk, we're not allowed to have opinions, and we're the ones that are getting censored and quieted. And there are over 20,000 detransitioners, which are adults that regret having made decisions as children, where their parents were cut out of it, and they made decisions based on their emotions, which change as your brain matures. And all we're saying is let's all be empathetic and sympathetic towards anyone who wants to be trans, but let's not easily influence children into taking puberty blockers and even surgery. And we have a very strong group of lobbyists in Hawaii that have spoken to you all individually, and I'm not sure you truly understand the harm it does to naturally gay children. This is just coming out in Sweden and Finland and Great Britain. They've reversed the medical affirming care and no longer recommend it for the minors because they've been doing it since 2015 and they've gotten the data that we don't have yet. So lobotomy was also a big medical scandal. All the medical groups recommended lobotomy for years and years, and they even won a Nobel Prize for lobotomy ideas. And this, I believe, will be a bigger scandal than lobotomy when all the data comes out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony in support from the Stonewall Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii. Michael Golyu, please proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Goloyu Jr. I'm chair of the Stonewall Caucus of the Democratic Party. We thank you for hearing this bill. We dedicate our testimony today to Newt Benedict, who is no longer with us because they were taken by their classmates. They were beaten to death because they did not agree with their gender identity. So we ask you that you pass this bill. This is something that's been coming, that we need to protect our transgender and non-gender conforming individuals within society. It's part of who we are as the state. It's part of the Hawaiian culture. Prior to contact, there was a space for the transgender community, which is no longer there thanks to the contact. We ask that I think, again, I want to thank you for hearing this bill, that this is a very much needed bill to ensure that we are able to take care of everyone, and making sure that we do not allow those on the continent to dictate to us what actually taking care of our keiki looks like. So we thank you. We encourage you to pass this bill. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony from Jonathan Ching with Kaiser Permanente. Not present. Testimony with comments. Next, we have testimony from Crystal Joy Beal. Dr. Beal? Not present. In support. Next person that we were told wanted to testify is James Wallace. Please proceed.
Morning, Chair. Thank you for holding this. And I oppose to HB 2079. First of all, 14-year-olds are minors. You guys know that, right? Everybody knows that. So how will this bill improve children's learning skills? We're at the bottom of the list every year. Of all 50 states, we're on the bottom. This won't improve it. How will this bill improve their health and well-being? Well, more likely increase their low self-esteem, increase suicide, increase insecurity. There's data and stats all about it. You got to have research on it. So unless that's the plan, so parents should be in charge of life-altering decisions, not the government. They've done enough damage. A bill passed yesterday, SB 2845, which a 20-year-old cannot buy ammo. Okay, a 20-year-old. Young adult, but a 14-year-old can get a life-altering decision. That doesn't make sense. So this bill clearly is meant to eliminate parents' authority. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, Luella Vidinha. Please proceed on Zoom.
Hi there. Thank you for having me on this Zoom meeting. I am a resident of Village Park in Waipahu. I'm a mom of 3 children and a grandma of 6 grandchildren. I was appalled. I'm totally appalled by this bill. I mean, how dare can the representatives come up with a bill that will take the rights from the parents, and you stand in our place? You didn't give birth to our children. You didn't give birth to our grandchildren. You need to get out of our business. We gave birth to them. We raised them. We slept with them. We took them to the doctors. How dare you? You tell us you know how to raise our children. You don't have any right. And especially you don't have any right to remove them from our house or my children's house, because I have grandchildren. When we feel we're raising them how we know what's best. You can't believe the doctors out there. You can't believe the legislators out there. The only people you can believe is the parents themselves who's raising their children. I'm sorry, but I'm saying this with all my passion. You can't do this to us. We have our faith, we have our morals. I don't have anything against the LGBTQ community, but do not invade our household. I'm telling each and every one of you representatives who introduced this bill to remove this bill and to think twice about what you're doing. Think about what you went through when you were little, when you were with your family. Look back, what if you were removed from your family? Just think about it. You love your parents, you love your grandparents. What if you were removed? It would have took away all the good memories that you folks had when you were younger. Thank you for having me share my feelings at this time.
Thank you for your manao. Appreciate it. We're going to go back to someone I had called earlier that wasn't there but has just joined us. John Ching with Kaiser Permanente. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Takayama, Jonathan Ching for Kaiser Permanente. I apologize. I know you called me Chair. I appreciate the consideration. We were trying to get back on Zoom. Kaiser Permanente has submitted comments, and we do request a technical amendment. We believe that a previous committee did make an amendment, and our amendment on page 7, line 21, we're just asking to delete the word covered entity. We believe it's technical in nature and would be provided for clarity's purposes. Thank you for the consideration, Chair, and available to answer any questions or to elaborate further.
Thank you very much. In addition to those who have indicated they wanted to testify, we received testimony in writing, 34 individuals in support and 44 individuals in opposition. Is there anyone else here or online that wishes to testify on this measure? Mr. McDermott, welcome. After you, sir.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's good to see you all again. Obviously, I'm opposed. Mr. Chair, I do have a point of inquiry. The way I read the bill, and if you could help me out.
I'm not going to, you don't get to ask the questions anymore, sir.
Well, I assumed the way I read it, it codifies this surgery, these procedures. I can't call it gender affirming, I call it gender mutilation because that's what it is. On children 14 without parental consent. Now, if I'm mistaken, please correct me. I don't want to misspeak. I'm just a citizen. 14 without parental consent, making a life-altering decision that's irreversible. I don't expect to convince you because I used to work here. But I would ask that you look at Dr. Miriam Grossman's congressional testimony. She's been a child psychiatrist for 40 years. The writings of Dr. Paul McHugh, who used to run Johns Hopkins, when they did Dr. Renee Richards, I'm sure a couple of the old-timers remember that, the first transsexual, that's what we used to call them. And we called it sex change surgery, not gender-affirming care. McHugh was a leader in that and then stopped it. And Johns Hopkins, premier medical school in the country, didn't do it for 30 years. They only resumed it when he retired because the money pushed by Big Pharma, they get 30 grand a year for Lupron. Breast, they call it top surgery, but what it is a double mastectomy on a 15-year-old girl for elective reasons. How, in good conscience, can anyone support such a thing? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again. Anyone else wishing to provide testimony? Yes, please come on up and, gentlemen, no, I called you first. Please go ahead. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Aloha. My name is Art Hanneman. I'm a father of 7 children, 7 sons, and 24 grandchildren. I'm a member missionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We've heard a lot of testimony regarding those from different medical associations, organizations, and political from the community. We've heard their opinion regarding HB 2079. I want to share a little bit of what I feel possibly the opinion of God would be. I'm disturbed. I'm disturbed that grown men that serve in this House, men who are educated, men who are experienced, women who are educated, women who are experienced, possibly fathers and grandfathers, could even think to write a bill like this, that could even think about having a hearing today and proposing the positivity of this kind of bill becoming law for the state and the good people of Hawaii. I'm appalled. I'm sickened by it. I believe we can do better. 2 years ago in 2022, there was a bill, 1697. It was a bill that would sexualize children.
Could we focus on this bill, please?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. In that same year, there was a bill, 2125, that criminalized parents. That if parents spoke against 1697, they would receive a prison term and financial penalty. That's crazy, a parent. And then last year, there was a bill that legalized abortions for young girls.
Sir, could
as
you
early
please
as
focus on this
14.
bill?
This all ties to it, sir.
I
Thank
haven't
you.
heard it yet. Please focus on this bill.
Now we're here today talking about HB 2079, which does the same thing. It does two things. When God created this world, he created us. He created us
Please
as
summarize.
male and female.
Please summarize.
And he said, what I have put together, let no man put asunder. This bill, HB 2079, puts asunder, divides what God has created. And it makes you God. May we rethink and really feel the Spirit of God as we think about HB 2079 in regards to what it does for children, families, in the beautiful state of Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2079? Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Shalay Vadina. I'm a daughter of Luella Vadina.
You first? Huh?
I'm Shalay Vadina.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone's on Zoom speaking.
Oh.
Please, on Zoom, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Hi, my name is Shalay Vadina, daughter of Luella Vadina that just spoke. I just want to say, because I'm against this bill as well. I'm gay, I'm bisexual, and I grew up in a Christian household. But not to bring that into this, it's wrong what you guys are doing. You know, nobody wants to, as a parent, nobody wants to see their kids taken away from them, especially my nieces and nephews. You know, I have a lot of them. And I'm just speaking from my heart and speaking as a bisexual woman that this is wrong. I would never want my parents to be away from my parents. I wouldn't want anybody to take me away, you know. And just, I don't know if this will pass, but just think about it deeply. And this is wrong. It's just common sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go to people in the room, is there anyone else on Zoom that wants to testify on this measure? If not, we'll come to people in the room here. And how many people want to testify? 1, 2. 1. Okay, we'll go through this. Ma'am, the red, white, and blue, you go ahead first.
Aloha, Chair and distinguished members. My name is Blanca Larson, and thank you for forcing me to come out of retirement. I didn't want to get involved on this kind of testifying. I did it a long time ago. And everything is worse now. But I will try anyhow to let you know that I oppose to this bill. This is immoral. I already sent my testimony. I kind of got home late, didn't know about this bill until midnight, and I've been out all day. So you're not gonna get it. Maybe you will post it afterwards. But I just wanted to let you know that I oppose to this bill for many reasons. I cannot really talk because I am emotional for what she said. She is trying everything. So I don't need to say much. As an experience, I know that no matter what I say, you already made your decision and what you are going to do. But God bless you anyways. Aloha and mahalo.
Thank you very much. Ma'am up front.
Hello, my name is Savannah Adler-Rivard. I was born and raised in Hawaii and had a lot of friends growing up in the LGBTQ community. And hello. I also struggled with gender confusion when I was at 14. Actually, was the age that I started having thank you.
You want to hold them, you can.
Thank you. Give me just a minute.
Maybe while she calms him down a little bit, maybe, ma'am, you want to go next? And then she can calm him down, and then I'll have her come back up. Go ahead. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Taylor Kaumwana, and I strongly oppose HB 2079. I wasn't going to make it today because I just had a baby, and he's 13 days old. But I felt like I needed to be here because of all the family and community that we've talked to, and we love, and we accept people. We don't judge them, but a lot of people are going through things and not getting the proper love and care that they need. So when we talk about mental health, I don't think it should be in a medical sense that you want to give them all these options. I mean, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, that's where so much people will try to influence you, social media, TV, the news. And I've talked to parents who would support this bill, and we've talked things out, and I think that if we can all contain our emotions and anger, we can come to an agreement that we all just want to protect our children and have them become great adults and great people in society. And even one day maybe being representatives, senators, mayor, governor, council members, and people that are leaders in Hawaii. And that's what I plan on doing with my son. And we're gonna continue to talk to these people, children as adults, and talk to them in the way that they desire, because they want to be looked at as responsible, mature, with a great head on their shoulders. And I'm grateful for the teachers, the counselors, the people that became in my life who had a good attitude, had patience, was respectful and understanding of where children come from. And sometimes we don't come from the best homes, but they're willing to talk it out with us and discuss things that maybe the doctor wouldn't have or the nurse wouldn't have. And I had an unmedicated birth. I believe that my midwives, my doulas, my birth supporters had helped me through that and continue to keep us safe and strong. And just want to say aloha to all of you. And
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony. On this side, let's go from, in the yellow, are you wanting to testify? Please come on up, introduce yourself, and proceed.
Aloha, and thank you for letting me be here, and thank you for the time and listening to us. Where do I start?
Focusing on this bill.
Okay. I oppose HB 2079. The reason why I oppose it, it has nothing to do with...
Could you introduce yourself first?
Oh, I am so sorry. Janelle Yim.
Janelle Yim.
Yes, I'm a citizen, concerned citizen. I oppose this bill, not because I'm intolerant or I'm a bigot to the LGBTQ. I have friends that are dear friends, very close to me. But as I see the effects that it will have on our children, the social ills that will cause our society due to the consequences of these bills, and also the breaking up of a family will bring consequences to not only our society, but to generations to come. And I hope you will really study the other side too. I know a lot of you already have your mind made up, but think of your posterity and the consequence that it will cause them. I do oppose this bill, and thank you so much for your time.
Certainly. Thank you very much for your testimony. Want to try again? You can introduce your little one, too.
Okay, take two.
Introduce your name.
Yep. My name is Savannah Adler-Rivard. This is Elliot Adler-Rivard. And I was born and raised in Hawaii. He was made in Hawaii, and we're proud of that.
You got to let your mom talk, please. Let your mom talk.
Okay, so what I was saying was, growing up, I had a lot of friends in the LGBTQ community, and I, at the age of 14, Elliot, I, at the age of 14, had the decision to make with peer pressure and in my social group if I was going to kind of join that group and see if, like, curiosity would lead me into identifying with something that I now know I'm not. And if I was 14 today, and if I was seeing counselors with the way that my mind, like where my mindset was at back then, I know I would have received gender-affirming care in the sense that I would probably have been pushed towards transitioning into something that I would regret today. I wouldn't have a child today if I would have had gender-affirming care in that way, right, with the hormones and then maybe leading to surgeries that would be irreversible. And so today I just want to say that 14 is way too young to give somebody the decision to make decisions that are affecting their biology, their bodies, you know? Hormones are strong. They make you do things, you know? They're not something just to play around with. And I feel like if I was talking to 14-year-old me and just thinking about what would be available to me at that age, I mean, I got tattoos when I was 14. Do I regret them today? Yes, majority of them I do. And I just can't imagine people, adults, people that I'm looking up to for guidance, you know, who would push me towards something that I didn't have the cognitive capability to really consider until I was 26, let's say, right? Your brain's not done developing until about that age. And if I were presented with the same opportunity at 26, I would not have taken the route that I probably would have taken at 14. So
Thank you.
We rushed here today for this. Thank you for letting us testify.
Sure, appreciate it. Thanks very much. Next, we have someone over here. Yes, in green. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Aloha. My name is Theon Ta'ala, and I came here at the last minute from Laie. I'm here representing my God, my faith, my children, my 20 grandchildren, and my future posterity. I am totally opposed to HB Bill 279. I think the grandmother who spoke last before said everything that I wanted to say. And I just want to say, I don't want to be held accountable when I go before my Maker, to know that I didn't do everything I could to sustain the morality that needs to be in our country. So I'm totally opposed, but thank you so much for letting us be here today.
Certainly. Thank you for being here. You don't need to applaud. It's okay. Appreciate you support the person who just gave the testimony, but let's just hear from the testifiers. That's what we're here for. Someone over here next. Sir? Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Chair Tarnas, committee, my name is Brett Kolbus. I'm a concerned citizen, 26-year Navy veteran in submarines. I am a member of the volunteer organization of Convention of States here in Hawaii, but I'm speaking here as a concerned citizen. Our children are our most precious commodity, our most precious in our country, more precious than gold, more precious than silver. And it is our responsibility to protect them. There's going to be a lot of conversations, testimony for and against, but I'm more practical. I get down to the bottom line. And the bottom line, this is nothing more than about money. Who gets paid? Big Pharma gets paid. Hospitals that perform the surgeries get paid. There was even a hospital, I believe it was in Missouri, where the CEO admitted that conducting gender-affirming care at that hospital is a moneymaker. Big insurance gets paid. Doctors that perform it get paid. Lawyers for or against are going to get paid. Lobbyists that are promoting it across the nation are going to be paid, both for and against. And for what? To potentially, permanently scar our most precious commodity of our children in our nation. They're going to be our posterity. If this bill passes, Hawaii, the home of Aloha, is going to be called Hawaii, the gender-affirming care sanctuary state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone on this side of the room wanted to testify? Nope, in the middle. Why don't you go? I'll come back over on this side. Don't worry, I'll get to everybody. I'm just trying to move around the room a little bit. Sir, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Hello, my name is Seek Hanneman from Laie, and here to oppose on this bill, HB 2709, right?
2079.
2079, excuse me. So yeah, I speak as a concerned father, married, have 3 children, and there's a trend that's taking place now that I've taken my oldest son out of school for this trend of the government or wanting to infiltrate the school system, the education system. And now I feel like with this bill, they're now trying to infiltrate the family with the same belief system that they believe everyone should be involved in this kind of conversation. And as a father, I strongly believe that this form of education, communication is between a father, a son, and a daughter, uncle, grandfather, whoever's in charge of that child. And it's very, very concerning that we're at a place to where, again, we feel like we're being, our rights are being stripped from something that feels so sacred. I love the word that the auntie used on the Zoom. She said invaded, feeling like our homes are being invaded upon. But yeah, I wanted to leave that with you guys, just in the understanding that as a father, I feel like there's a trend moving forward where people are trying to separate themselves from what they can't control because they feel like the government is pressing or invading. Thank you so much for this time. Appreciate it.
Certainly, thank you very much. Other people in the middle here that want to testify? If not, we'll come back over on this side here. Front row, anyone else? I'm coming to you, ma'am. Second row, anybody? Ma'am? Yeah. Yes, go ahead, with the hat on. Yeah. Please proceed. Introduce yourself and please proceed.
My name is Alice Abelanita. I'm a concerned citizen and a mother of 2 sons. I am strongly opposed to Bill 2079, and a lot of what's been said in this room in opposition has been brilliant. It's absolutely true. And I know that you have families, a lot of you have children, and you have to stop and think. When your kids were young, or when you were young, just like they're saying, when you're 14, you're not capable of making adult decisions. You know, why aren't we waiting till these people are adults? If they want to go get the surgery, that's different. They're on their own. But you're taking away the family. These kids, I know I did stupid stuff when I was 14, and then, you know, a lot of people, they can't join the military till you're 18. You can't drive a car till you're 16. There's a lot of things you can't do, but like you're gonna let 14-year-olds make a life-altering decision with surgery that is irreversible and then taking away parental rights. We really need to do some soul searching in this place as far as these bills coming out. Because you know what? If these kids, when they become adults and they're on their own and they want to have the surgery, that's different. But when you start threatening parents, and there's a reason that we have parents, because we need someone to protect us, just like everybody that's spoken. I just really, really encourage you to do some soul searching on this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Testimony in the front row. Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Yes, you do want to testify. Okay, come on up. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Hi, my name is Peggy Hanneman, and I'm the mother of the 7 boys and now have 24 grandchildren, and I am here to oppose HB 2079. I'm not a brilliant speaker, but I just can't imagine people that I love that are in politics actually want to take my children away and make the decision for them at the age of 14, 16, 17, even 18, 19. They say a brain isn't fully developed till you're 25. Once they're adults, if they decide to do what they need to do, I will not oppose that. I don't have anything against, I have gays, I have that in my family. I love them just as my own, they are some of my own. So I am not about to oppose those that are gay and what they choose to do with their lives. But I do oppose you coming into the family, as my son, Seek, said, invading our family. The family unit is a positive thing. I believe you came from families. It was a positive. Most of it should be positive, and we're here to raise and bring up our children the way that we feel we should. I don't think the government has any right to step in to my home and tell me that you have no right over your child, over something that you think that they need to change because of a psychologist or a school teacher. Someone that's outside of their home is trying to propose and make a law. Please, I oppose this bill. Please think twice. Think of us, the moms, the dads, the grandparents. Please, do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else wanting to testify? If not, okay, please introduce yourself. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Bree, and I am a mother of 3, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Okay, I think this is the last one. Okay, please proceed. Introduce yourself.
My name is Lori Gardner, and I agree with everything everybody has said opposing this bill, and I oppose it as well. I'm a mother of 3, and hopefully we'll have grandchildren, and I want to protect them as well, too. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. All right, there's no one else wishing to testify. Questions, members? Sorry? Department of Health is not present. DCCA, is DCCA still present? No, I think, no. No government. Sorry? DCCA? Oh, please come on up. We have the representative from DCCA here, Rochelle Araki. Do you want to ask questions, Representative Gannon?
Yeah, just to clarify.
Why don't you bring the microphone up close?
Good afternoon, Ms. Araki.
Good afternoon, Representative.
The Department of Health isn't here, but the DCCA is. And yeah, thank you for your testimony and support. In your testimony, you basically just note that this clarifies jurisdiction under the UCC JEA. That has to do with the way different states determine who has jurisdiction of a custody case in which the parents are from differing states. Is that correct?
We're only supporting the part with that alters 451J and 453D. Is that what you're asking about, Representative?
I'm talking about, you're on page, just on your page 1 to the bottom paragraph, part 3. Clarify jurisdictions under Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act.
I think it's just a summary of the bill.
Okay. Oh.
They're not testifying in that portion.
They're not testifying. They just support it. Yeah. And in that instance, scratch that.
Sorry.
I'm clarified by your testimony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify? Anyone else wishing to ask questions? Seeing None. Thank you very much to all the testifiers. I appreciate you taking the time to come and in person and on Zoom. So thanks very much. We're going to go on to the other measures. We have a long agenda, so you're welcome to stay if you'd like, but we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is House Bill 2775 HD1 relating to healthcare. It establishes communication and optimal resolution process through which patients and their families, healthcare providers, and healthcare, if you could go outside and talk, that'd be best. Thank you. These facilities can engage in open communication about how an adverse care health incident occurred, how it will be prevented in the future, and what compensation, if any, will be offered to the patient or their family. On this measure, we have testimony from the Healthcare Association of Hawaii with comments, and Susan Jaworowski in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2775? If not, we'll move on because no one to ask questions of. House Bill 2553 HD2 relating to pharmacists. This measure authorizes pharmacists to administer vaccines to persons 3 years of age or older, authorizes pharmacy interns and pharmacy technicians under the direct supervision of a pharmacist to administer vaccinations to persons between the age of 3 and 17 if certain requirements are met. And it authorizes pharmacists to order vaccines for administration to persons between the age of 3 and 17. On this measure, we have testimony and support from the Department of Health.
I apologize when you asked about Department of Health, but I had no clue for the previous bill. So,
sure.
My name is Ron Balahadia. I'm the Immunization Branch Chief of the Department of Health, and the department stands on its written testimony and support. Basically, what it does is currently pharmacists are allowed to practice and immunize children down to 3 years of age via the Federal PrEP Act. And so what we would like to do, that particular act is going to be ending at the end of this year. And since pharmacists have played an integral role in providing vaccinations in our community, we want to still continue that process because it allows for greater vaccination opportunities for individuals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony and support from the University of Hawaii College of Pharmacy. And we have testimony, let's see, Lori Lum for CVS Health. I saw her earlier. Looks like she's gone. Board of Pharmacy. Welcome. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. I'm James Gizuski, Executive Officer of the Board of Pharmacy. The board voted unanimously in support of this bill. What they emphasized in their testimony is the current, healthcare provider shortage that the state is facing, and then the role that pharmacists play in the community, how dispersed they are, and the services they were able to provide during the pandemic under the allowances provided by the PrEP Act, and they support the codified expansion of their services who are able to provide it in regards to vaccinations as listed in the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lum, Lori Lum, come on up. You can testify next.
Good afternoon. Laurie Lum on behalf of CVS Health. We are in support of House Bill 2553. We believe it's a positive step in providing increased and equitable access to vaccinations that have been approved, and pharmacy interns and pharmacy technicians should be allowed to administer all vaccines that can be administered by a pharmacist under the supervision of a pharmacist. They have demonstrated their ability to do so during the pandemic, and there was the PrEP Act that was in response to that health emergency that expanded and allowed them to do the vaccination. So similarly, this bill would codify that in statute, and we ask for your support. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Certainly. Thank you very much for being here. Next, we have testimony and support from the Hawaii Pharmacists Association. Welcome. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Charnas and members of the committee. My name is Corey Sanders. I'm the president of the Hawaii Pharmacists Association. I want to agree with what Lori just mentioned about the importance of technicians and interns being able to vaccinate as well. They are nationally certified to do this, and the reality of the situation is that even though they're not regulated by DCCA, there's medical assistants that work in provider offices that are already vaccinating without being regulated by the state. And it would really cripple the workflow of a community pharmacy if you took away the interns and the technicians, because that would put all the onus on the pharmacists, and that's just not reasonable. I do want to say that per Chapter 461, the Pharmacy Practice Act, vaccinations are to be documented within 5 days in the Hawaii Immunization Registry, and we have no issues with adding verbiage to that for clarification. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have testimony in support from Molokai Drugs on Zoom. Kimberly Svetin, please proceed.
I'm trying to. Hi, my name is Kimberly Mikami Svetin. I'm the president of Molokai Drugs, and I stand by my written testimony. I am next to Precious Ascension, who is one of our nationally certified pharmacy technicians, and under this bill, she would be able to immunize as well. So we really appreciate your vote in favor of this bill. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much for fitting us in your busy schedule. Next, we have testimony support from Tiffany Yajima or Mihoko Ito with Walgreens.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tiffany Yajima on behalf of Walgreens. Walgreens is in support of this measure insofar as it lowers the age of immunization for pharmacists to administer these vaccines. We just know that pharmacists have been doing this safely under the PrEP Act, as you've heard, since 2020, and this would codify into statute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've also received testimony in writing and support from 15 individuals and organizations. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify on House Bill 2553? Yes, please come on up, introduce yourself, and please proceed.
Aloha. I apologize if you have not received our testimony. I'm Tina Yamaki with the Retail Merchants of Hawaii, and we are in support of this bill. I know in the bill it says that they can immunize from ages 3 to 17, and in other places it's 3 and older. I think it should be clarified that it's 3 and older, because if you can immunize a 3-year-old, how come you can't immunize somebody who's 63? Thank you.
Thanks very much. I don't see the testimony coming in. Maybe you could send it again or just provide it to us. Thank you, certainly. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2553? If not, questions, members? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thanks very much to the testifiers. House Bill 2492, relating to commercial driver's licenses. This measure amends existing law to meet new federal regulations for commercial driver's licenses when the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse prohibits a driver from operating a commercial vehicle due to alcohol and drug violations. First up, we have testimony from Ed Sniffen, Director, Department of Transportation, in support.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Tarnas and Vice Chair Takayama. I'm Robin Shishida with the Hawaii Department of Transportation to provide testimony. So we stand by our testimony submitted, which is in support of this measure, as it will revise the HRS to put us in compliance with the federal regulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2492? If not, questions, members? Seeing none, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2493, relating to commercial driver's licenses. This creates 2 new commercial driver's license restrictions. First up, we have Department of Transportation. Please proceed on House Bill 2493.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Hi, Rob again with the Hawaii Department of Transportation, and we stand by our submitted testimony, which is in support. With this measure, the 2 new codes will be added so the Lanai and Molokai folks can have their CDLs with the restrictions, and it also adds another class to clarify when drivers receive their CDL with vehicles with a GVWR of less than 18,000 pounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, 2493? If not, questions, members? I have a question, Department of Transportation. You might not be able to answer it, but I want to ask anyway. There's a severability clause in this bill. Do you need that? I was skeptical that you needed it. Would you be able to comment on that?
Okay, I haven't seen that part. I we have Toby Wakamoto online also. Toby, do you know, would you be able to answer the question?
I'm not familiar what you're talking about, Rep. Tarnas. Could you clarify?
There's a severability clause in the bill, and I wondered if you needed that in there.
I'm not sure. Let us look into this and get back to you on this.
Well, okay, well, thanks. If we are able to move this along, if the committee decides to move this along, I think it'd be worth you including that in your future testimony if it moves to the Senate and they choose to hear it.
Okay.
But I'll leave it, I will recommend we leave it in there just to be on the safe side, but I think it's worth you checking to see if it's really needed, okay?
Okay, we'll look into that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions on House Bill 2493? No other questions? Thanks very much to DOT for the testimony. We're going to move on to the next measure. House Bill 2261, relating to historic preservation. This measure amends the definition of historic property used in historic preservation laws to remove the minimum age and require listing on the Hawaii or National Register of Historic Places or built before August 21st, 1959. This broadens exclusions from historic review for certain types of proposed projects on existing privately owned single-family detached dwelling units or townhouses. First up, we have testimony from Dr. Downer. Thanks for your patience. Please proceed.
My pleasure. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, I'm Alan Downer, the Administrator of the State Historic Preservation Division. Pardon me. The department stands on its written comments. And the concerns that we have are twofold. First of all, any time you rely on a hard date, you are going to have a problem. It doesn't matter what the date is. If you choose admission day, in this instance, next year, properties built, in 1960 become ineligible, and it's just rolling forward. The department does believe that the current definition needs to be amended, but we don't think this is the solution. We think it's deeply problematic that it requires listing in the Hawaii Register. The state has never conducted a systematic survey statewide or assessment or registration of buildings. As a consequence, we have relied entirely on primarily property owners listing their properties because they see a value in it, or occasionally, very rarely, sort of interested citizens doing it. As a consequence, a very small portion of properties that would be eligible have been listed, and this bill would exclude them from consideration. And in closing, I would point out that in 2016, the legislature exempted privately owned residences from 6E review. I don't know why this keeps coming up. They're already exempt, unless they happen to be listed in the Hawaii Register or in a designated historic district. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much. Next, we have testimony from the Hawaii Realtors in support. Next, we have testimony from NIOP, Hawaii chapter. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Mike Yosua on behalf of NIOP. We're in strong support of this bill. We think it's very timely. At this point, although the SHPD staff has done a great job, I feel like it's probably understaffed and overwhelmed with the amount of reviews that they have to do. We think this strikes a pretty fair balance in between figuring out which properties are really historic and reducing the volume of reviews that have had to go through SHPD. I personally have been involved on a project where the review itself took over 2 years. I don't know how long is typical, but my experience has been over a year, and it has having a drastically negative effect on affordable housing and other big projects. So here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've also received written testimony in opposition and support from 3 other individuals and organizations. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in House Bill 2261? If not, questions, members? I have a question for Dr. Downer. If I heard you correctly, you said that you thought that the statute needs to be amended.
We believe that, yes.
If that's the case, if you definitely think that's the case, has the administration proposed a bill to amend
There are bills moving. I'm sorry. I should have that at the tip of my tongue. I'm going to take a moment here to think about it. We did not propose a bill this year, in large part because in the last few years, it's proved so controversial that we felt it was not worth investing time and effort in it this year. But there are bills. There is a bill in the Senate which is essentially took what last year was HB 201 and took that language and put it into that version, and that's still moving on the Senate side.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, I think the reason why we keep seeing these bills is because I think everybody agrees it needs to be amended, but we've got to figure out what the amendment should be. So I appreciate that you also agree it should be amended, but you just don't. In your words, you believe this is deeply problematic.
Correct.
Understood. Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Anyone else wishing to ask questions? No? Okay. Thanks very much. Let's move on to the next measure. This is House Bill 2029 relating to historic preservation reviews. This allows the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to assume historic preservation review of any proposed project for lands under its jurisdiction except for the projects affecting properties listed or nominated for inclusion in the Hawaii Register of Historic Places or the National Register of Historic Places, and it establishes certain written notice requirements for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. On 2029, we have testimony from the Department, from Dr. Downer first.
Not sure how we jumped in front of JHHL, but okay. So I'm Alan Downer. I'm the administrator of the State Historic Preservation Division. The department stands on its written support for this measure. Under this, the department feels very strongly that there needs to be uniform standards for reviews under 6E8 HRS, that the decision-making entities or individuals are professionally qualified to make those decisions, and that SHPD needs to remain the central repository for the critical data that's produced in the review process. And finally, that there needs to, that people need to be notified, including SHPD, that this transition is going to occur. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody when DHHL decides to, assuming this bill passes, obviously, assume this responsibility. This bill provides for all of those things, so the department supports it.
Thank you very much. And now for the center attraction, Department of Hawaiian Homelands. This bill is your bill.
Yes.
Please proceed.
Correct. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. O Oriana Leal Ko'uinoa, Nahas, the Government Relations Program Specialist for DHHL. The department stands on its written testimony in strong support of this measure, which, you are correct, is our bill. It was approved by the commission and also included in the governor's administrative package. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. To Dr. Donner's point, the department feels that the requirements as outlined in this draft are fair, and they will also prevent any conflict of interest. It provides an opportunity for us to ensure staffing and also CC them on all of the reporting to SHPD and DLNR, and also post it on our website so that the public is aware and they have opportunity to provide testimony if it becomes an agenda item at a commission meeting. We appreciate all of the efforts of SHPD and the other borough councils that we work in collaboration with and consult with at times. However, we also recognize that the current process takes about 165 days. And for about 29,000 beneficiaries who are still on the waiting list, that's 165 days too long. One of the testimonies in opposition noted the differences between state and federal requirements. I have the privilege of working on the Nahasda team, and we just hired a new staffer who has experience and a background in both Hawaiian studies and also SHPD work, so we're happy to have her on board. And we would like the opportunity to have more staff like her. And on a final note, DHHL is more than just a developer, And we do more than just provide lots for homesteaders. What we hope to provide, what we hope to continue to provide, are opportunities for beneficiaries to enrich their lives. So with that being said, I'm available for any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. We have testimony in opposition from the Historic Hawaii Foundation and testimony in opposition from Nanea Low. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2029? If not, questions, members? I have a question, Oriana. On page 3 of the bill, if the intent is to require Department of Hawaiian Homelands to provide notice at least 45 days before it assumes responsibility, I would like to incorporate that language more effectively into page 2, line 17, a little earlier in the bill, because it sounds like you're in agreement that, yes, the Department of Hawaiian Homeland should provide notice at least 45 days before you assume responsibility.
Yes, the department would concur with that amendment.
Okay, great, we would do that. Okay, great. I'm so delighted that you were able to make a hire. I know that's always a challenge to hire folks that have that breadth of experience, so good news. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Mahalo.
Any other questions, members? If not, thanks very much to the testifiers. Moving on to the last bill on our agenda for testimony, House Bill 2183 relating to sexual exploitation. This measure establishes safe harbor protections for survivors of sexual exploitation who seek medical or law enforcement assistance. First up, we have testimony from the Honolulu Department of the Prosecuting Attorney. Welcome, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chair Takayama, and the members of the committee. My name is Daniel Hugo, and I'm representing the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney for the City and County of Honolulu. The Department of the Prosecuting Attorney certainly supports the intent of this bill, which establishes safe harbor protections for survivors of sexual exploitation who seek medical or law enforcement assistance. And the intent of the bill does align with the Honolulu County Human Trafficking Task Force objective to offer a victim-centered response to those experiencing exploitation. We certainly prioritize the health and safety of exploited or trafficked individuals and their ability to secure medical care or law enforcement assistance unencumbered by the fear of prosecution. Specifically, when this bill was heard before the Human Services Committee, there was a request for either the Attorney General's office or the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney to comment on the legality of the bill. And so in our comments, we focused on 3 potential issues that we see that might present legal challenges for this bill or would present unintended consequences. When we're dealing with human trafficking, we're dealing with some of the most vicious and manipulative set of criminals there, and certainly there isn't any barrier to them exploiting a bill that is intended to shield victims in order to protect their criminal enterprise. So we highlighted some of the potential unintended consequences there, and but certainly in terms of supporting victims and ensuring that they can have access to medical care or law enforcement assistance without fearing prosecution, we're all on board for that. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Next, we have testimony and support from the Honolulu Police Department. Major Lambert. Next, we have testimony and support from 3 individuals and organizations. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on House Bill 2183? If not, questions, members? Representative Ganadin.
Deputy Prosecutor Hugo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
In disclosure, Chair, me and Mr. Hugo have had to gone against each other in several cases here at the district court right across the street. So we're old friends.
It's okay to disagree. Let's just not be disagreeable.
That's it. In your testimony, Deputy, you note paragraph 3 or section 3. This bill would be vulnerable to constitutional challenge on equal protection grounds.
Right.
Let's see. Do you have any prospective amendment for this committee to assist us so that we can avoid any sort of disparate treatment and any sort of trigger that might come up, say, with with regards to civil rights and protections under the Hawaii State Constitution.
Right, so Section 4 of this bill amends HRS 712-1207. HRS 712-1207 includes both the victims on the seller side and the criminal customers on the buyer side. So the simplest amendment to do would just be to not have a safe harbor provision on the buyer side. There's no amendment to the general buyer side statute, which is 712-1200.5, dealing with commercial sexual exploitation. So it doesn't seem as if the intent of this bill was to provide a safe harbor for those who are seeking the commercial sexual buyers. So given that, if you just exempted, if you just created in Section 4 saying that this exemption does not extend to them, then there's no equal protection problem.
Would be the equal protection problem be based in gender?
No,
sex?
so the equal protection problem is that Section 712-1207 deals with commercial sexual exploitation that occurs within Waikiki, whereas Section 712-1200.5 deals with it generally. And so on rational basis review, there's probably not going to be, unless the legislature wanted to supplement that record, not going to be a reason why the safe harbor only applies for commercial sexual exploitation that occurs within Waikiki, whereas outside of Waikiki, this safe harbor is not available. And it's just because the Section 712-1207 deals with both, whereas Section 712-1200 and Section 712-1200.5 separate those two classes.
Well, thank you for making us aware of that, Mr. Hugo. I didn't know that there was a differentiation in the law regarding the geographic area of Waikiki.
Right, so Section 712-1200 or 1207 specifically aggravates the penalties within Waikiki, and that could survive rational basis review because certainly the location may merit that. But providing a safe harbor only for the customers who are in Waikiki and not having a safe harbor outside, it doesn't seem like they should be receiving a safe harbor at all. It doesn't seem as if that was the intent of the bill to provide a safe harbor to that group. So just removing that from Section 4 of the bill would be sufficient to overcome an equal protection problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, members? If not, thank you very much to the testifiers. And with that, I'd like to move directly into decision-making. So back up to the top of the agenda. House Bill 2079. I appreciate all the testifiers that provided testimony today. I've been in consultation with the Health Committee and the Consumer Protection Committee, and the chairs there and members supported this moving forward, and I would like to continue that. It does have a defective effective date, so we're continuing the discussion on this measure. So my recommendation is to pass this out as is. Questions or concerns, members?
I have a concern.
Representative Souza, please proceed.
I'll be voting no on this measure, and it's not because I do not support expanding access to gender-affirming services. It's just I have a problem with several different sections of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other comments or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2079 HD2, noting the excused absence of Representative Evslin and the no vote of Representative Souza. I'm sorry. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Ganadin? Aye. Representative Holt?
No.
No vote for Representative Holt. Representative Ichiyama?
Aye.
Representative Villagan?
Aye.
Representative Kong?
No vote.
No vote for Representative Kong. Representative Miyake?
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next measure, House Bill 2775 HD1 relating to health care. We need to make some technical amendments for this only, and so my recommendation, move out this measure with technical amendments, HB 2775 HD1. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2775 HD1 with further amendments. Any reservations or noes? Seeing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2553 HD2. I recommend we move this out as is. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2553 HD2, passing as is. Any reservations or noes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Next measure, House Bill 2492 HD1 relating to commercial driver's licenses. I recommend we pass this out with technical amendments. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2492 HD1 with further amendments. Any reservations or noes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2493 HD1 relating to commercial driver's licenses. I'd like to move this out with technical amendments only. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2493 HD1 with further amendments. Any reservations or noes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. House Bill 2261 relating to historic preservation. I'd like to move this out with technical amendments only. Questions or concerns, members? Representative Ganadin.
Delete, sir.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2261 HD1 for further amendments. Any reservations or noes? Reservations for Representative Ganadin. Your recommendations adopted.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Kong. Sorry. Reservations for Representative Kong. Okay. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Next measure, House Bill 2029 HD1 relating to historic preservation reviews. I'd like to move this out with amendment, and that is that we want to include language in page 2, line 17, that makes it clear that the intent is to require the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to provide notice at least 45 days before it assumes responsibility. So it's just slight change in that language there, and that would be my recommended change only. Any other questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2029 HD2. Any reservations or noes? Reservations for Representative Ganadin? No vote for Representative Ganadin. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Next measure, House Bill 2183. I appreciate the testimony from the prosecutors about this. I did check in with the Attorney General, who said that they didn't feel that this was problematic, but your further explanation here was very helpful, and I recommend we move this out with a defective effective date, and I would urge the Attorney General to listen to your presentation and your rationale. And if they think that it's best to move forward with some amendments, I'd like to hear from I'd like them to provide that testimony in future hearings on this measure, should it pass out of the House and go to the Senate. So I appreciate your hard work on that, because I think we all agree with the intent of it. We want to make sure we get it right. So my recommendation on House Bill 2183 is to move it out with a defective effective date as the amendment. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2183 with amendments. Any reservations or noes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the measures that we have had a hearing on previously, and we deferred decision-making to today. First up, House Bill 1601. I first want to say thank you to all the testifiers who provided testimony on this. We listened carefully to it. We've been in discussions with various stakeholders, including the Attorney General's office, the prosecutors, and we have made good progress, but not enough progress. So at this point, I'm going to recommend that we defer action on this measure. We'll continue working on it, and it may not be until next session that we come back with another version of it, but I think we do need to acknowledge the input from the testifiers, because we wanted to make sure that we we do this right, and we work with the police, and we work with the attorney generals, and the prosecutors, and the defending attorneys, so that we can try to make this work. And our whole intent here is to protect public safety. And so with that in mind, I recommend to the members that we defer action on House Bill 1601 at this time. Okay? Thank you very much for all of your input. Next, on House Bill 1602, on this measure, it was very illuminating and educational to read what the public defenders provided to us from Hawaii County and the courts there on how they handle this issue. We did meet with the attorney, with the judiciary to get their input on this. And what they've recommended is what I'd like to recommend as an amendment on 1602, so that we would be making it clear that it's not just the person. So in the section on 805, and also repeated in 806, right now it says that provided further that during the grace period, the person's attorney of record, it says right now that provided further that during the grace period, the person may voluntarily appear in court without the need to provide advance notice to the court. That was a problem, because then they would just show up and no one would get any notice, and that's not reasonable. So we're going to modify it saying that the person's attorney of record, or the person, if the person is not represented by counsel, may contact the court to request that the initial appearance be reset on the court's calendar without the issuance of the warrant. So we feel that that should be able to address the issue effectively and not disrupt the efficient operations of the court. We would say that would be the same amendment both in Section 2 and Section 3 of the bill. So I'm hoping that that would be sufficient in order to move this forward and help address this situation effectively. That's my recommendation, and that we would have a defective effective date to the year 3000 for this measure. Those are my recommendations. Questions or concerns, members? Representative Holt.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the work on this measure. I will be voting no on this bill. I still don't think this is a good, we're allowing 48 hours notice, and if it ends on a weekend, then it could be extended a few more days. It could be 5 days total, maybe more, that they don't have to show up. Also, it says may contact the court, not shall contact the court, so they don't have to. And, I think just the public sentiment, and I would agree with HPD's testimony that, our community wants more to be done to address brazen criminals who seem to be operating without consequence. And, this measure seems to provide criminal defendants with more leeway and less accountability. So for those reasons, I'll be voting no.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you. Other questions, comments? Representative Gannon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, for the work in doing this. I think it was also very illuminating in noting that the Third Circuit, Hawaii County, has essentially done a version of codifying this by creating a form for defendants to fill out and to appear so that they don't get incarcerated unnecessarily. Again, this is for non-trial, non-substantial hearings, the kinds that defendants have to do many appearances for. We call them just check-ins oftentimes. And also very much an appreciation to the judiciary for clarifying this so that people can get equal justice across the state.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote on HB 1602 with amendments.
Voting on House Bill 1602 as amended, noting the no vote of Representative Holt. Any other reservations or noes?
Reservations.
Reservations for Representative Souza. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. There being no further business before this committee, we are adjourned. So one more.